Hi, I'm Emily,
I'm Eric.
and welcome back to You Should Thank Me podcast about a married couple in their 40s living in Ontario with their two little doggy-doos.
This week we're talking about vacations, from family road trip fun to resort fails, and the dream trips we haven't taken, still haven't taken. Okay. Most memorable childhood vacations. You're going to have to start this off.
Well, first I wanted to start it with, first we're recording on a different day. So I think this might be the new schedule for episodes, perhaps. I don't know. I just think with like the summer coming up, like we typically record and like push out an episode on like a Sunday, but I don't know if.
Oh, do you think you're also going to like put it out tonight as well?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, immersion room.
Depends on if you're on board with my plan.
Oh.
Some blackmail.
I don't know. I like doing it on Sundays, but I could do it on like a Monday at 3 a.m. So I'm fine either way. Like personally, I'd rather a Sunday, because I still feel like in the summer Thursdays are gonna like have high value for me. I just like.
They're high value?
Yeah.
They're like, I would say, I feel like we're going to go on another tangent, which is totally fine.
That's fine.
But I think Thursday is my favorite day of the week, which people will probably going to come for me.
And I kind of agree with you in comparison to Sunday.
Well, no. I'm actually talking about in life, not necessarily to record a podcast.
Yeah. And I'm agreeing, but you want to lock up our Thursdays in order to, opposed to the Sundays, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the reason too why I don't necessarily want to record this Sunday was kind of like to my point earlier, is that I'm going to be in Toronto visiting a friend, so I don't really want to have to like rush back.
And I'm on call. And it makes sense. It made sense this week, and so realistically, I'm good either way. But I still think we should just. Do it on Sundays, like in the sense, do the episode on a Sunday, like release it Sundays. Because I also think other people secretly love Thursdays, and I'm not sure how many people will listen to this on a Thursday.
Gotcha. So you're trying to be like strategic, or they'll be very happy and then just like listen to all their podcasts all on Thursday, including ours, of course, right?
But aren't the best like shows on Thursdays like Survivor? But maybe it's not 1998 anymore, I guess.
By the way, but Survivor's still on. I think it's literally like its 46th season or something.
Yeah.
That is insane. I remember one of my friends.
It's not 46 because then it would be older than us.
No, well, they can do 2 seasons a year.
Oh, yeah, but. Yeah, I guess so. But.
I'm going to look it up now. Survivor.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like Coronation Street. It's not that exciting.
Oh, I was actually wrong. It's 48, not 46.
Which
is just absolutely wild.
I can't.
He's trying to search something on my
Coronation Street has way more seasons. Well, maybe
on
not.
On my laptop.
It doesn't matter.
But the keyboard's like very different. It's like it'll little itty bitty work on.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
But yeah, I don't know.
I think we've talked enough about Thursdays and Sundays. I think it's time to get on the meat of the show.
Correct. I think today we're just talking about kind of our vacation, what we sort of did as a kid, as a child, and then what we kind of have planned for future trips. But I think for me, for my like childhood, I think our like family, I don't know if it's a vacation theme or consistent thing that we would do every year pretty much, I think since I was like maybe like 13 or something, because we would always go up north, like northern Ontario, and do like a fishing trip. Don't quote.
Yeah, you would go north where you're at to southern Ontario, but the northern part of southern Ontario.
Okay, well, how far do you think we went?
I don't know. You've told me places. I'm not going to guess how many places, but you know what I'm saying. There's it's north to you, it's south to me.
Well, I do remember. I'm pretty sure probably the most.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm used to it. No, I think that probably the most northern it would be like Manitoulin Island. I'm like 99% sure we had rented this small little like cottage on there, and this was like even mine. Probably 25 years ago. And so when my parents, aka my mom, was trying to find a place for like a family of 5 to like hunker down for a week or whatever. It was very challenging to like find these websites and look at actual like real photos. So we were duped a couple times for sure. And one of them was on Manitoulin Island. And it was actually one of the trips that I recall. We came back early because it was just so awful.
I didn't know about this, and
I think the furnace was like literally in like the front room. So you'd like walk in and it was just like the furnace was just like there and everything was just mishmash.
Like, I do want to ask your parents about this because I never, you've told me a few stories, but I didn't, and maybe we did talk about this and I just forget. I will say, when you go on a trip or a camping trip, like I wasn't there, so I'm not gonna like, throw shade, but like you rough it. Like none of these places, if you have like heat and it's insulated, you're doing a good job generally.
Yeah.
At least me growing up, that's how I feel. And at the end of the day, like I wasn't there, so what the heck do I know? Right?
Yeah, but it was supposed to be like, I mean, I don't know what the actual like description was, obviously, but it was supposed to be like a cottage or like a lodge, not a shack with barely running water, essentially, right? Like how they sold it was like incorrect.
Right.
But yeah, I remember coming home from that. But yeah, we went to a bunch of different places, like, puttered around like Northern Ontario. I don't know how you quantify Northern Ontario, but we certainly never went south. Like we never went to my memory bank. We never went to like Windsor or anything like that.
Yeah, you went to places where you would camp and fish.
Like near Huntsville.
Yeah.
Like Port Severn, I remember. Manitoulin Island, kind of a Muskoka area, kind of all like that Northern Ontario area.
Yeah. So my family didn't really take a lot of trips. It's interesting though because we had a camp on Manitoulin Island as well, and that would be our summer thing. And I remember we had this truck that had a cab on the back, and there was like a seat in it, like that you would see in the back of a van. And we all sat in the back of the cab for like 2 hours of the trip to the island. And so I have that memory, and it's funny because you're explaining all this. We didn't have running water there, but we were we were right like 20 feet away from the water, so you'd go in with soap and stuff like that. The water I did one time drink and get really sick though, so it wasn't like the cleanest water. We didn't have heat in it, so if we went like on the off season, we'd have to set up a fire, and it would take a couple hours to get warm. And I used to have friends there that I would go over to their house and use their washer because we had an outhouse, and it was pretty grimy. But I do have like fond memories because and bear in mind like they do count, right? Like it was a camp, and we'd stay there for weeks at a time, and I lived across like a farm, and I would my brother would bale hay, and sometimes I get to like milk the cows and stuff like that and help sometimes, and it was fun. But like we didn't really have a lot of like quote unquote trips like that. My parents did do things before I was born. Like I remember they went to like Disneyland and stuff, and so I did miss out on trips like that. But it's one of those things where it's like I lived. I was happy to go to that place because I always find Manitoulin Island really beautiful. So I'm happy I did. I just never had like a lot of these different trips.
Yeah, well, and I think too, kind of with your example with your parents, I think that's sort of the same kind of idea with my parents in the sense that they always used to be and like still are like adventurous. I mean, not quite as much now, but I don't know how often, but they like sometimes my dad would like hook up the canoe to the car so that when work was done, they would go straight away. They would go camping and like kayak or canoeing and all that. So I definitely think that's kind of obviously when they had kids, they brought us into the mix. But I do remember too one time that we went to one of these like lodges or like cottages or whatever, and like I said, there was 5 of us, and also we brought like our dog. We grew up for the most part with like golden retrievers. So we had a golden retriever with us too. And I remember hearing more of the story from, I don't remember which one of my parents, but we basically like, rolled up to this cottage. We all, piled out of the car, like, 3 kids, 2 adults, the dog, and, kind of got settled. And then the neighbors came over, like, I don't know if they were renters or if they lived there, but they came over and they're like, oh, like, and they didn't really see us come. They just kind of were like saying hi. And they're like, oh, where is your second car? Like, they couldn't believe that we all crammed into.
Yeah.
I don't even, it was a car. I want to say it, and I'm probably wrong, but my memory serves me. It was like a 1987, like the Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
And like, we all sat in the back and you could see the car, like, halfway covering like the hubcap because it just was like too much weight. And plus all of our like clothes and food and like all of it.
Right.
So that's like one of the funny memories too that I kind of have. It's just like this like clown car where this whole family like jumps out of it and they're like, where's your other car? It's like, no, we all drove in this like 87 Camry, like, 400 kilometers north.
It's interesting. I never thought about the traveling. I know my dad would go back and forth to work, he generally was able to take a lot of time off, and it was like a 2-hour drive, and I think you kind of go by where we lived, so I think he'd go to work and he'd pick stuff back from our house on the way back. But yeah, we brought all our animals too. I have a story about my cat falling in the outhouse that you've probably heard a million times, and
so that was at the camp.
Oh yeah. And I was thinking it was really fun too. Like I met a couple of friends there, and I had a good time. But I remember my brother hated them. I would say the people that were there because they're like my age and they're little shitters. And what essentially happened is my brother would like chase them down with our 3-wheeler. And they would like jump in the ditch. It was like, it was kind of wild. And yeah, like I don't remember traveling too crazy except being in that cab in the back. But we had all the animals there. We would bring water because we didn't have running water. And we had power, but like there was no cable or anything, and that was just fine. But we used to like hang out by the CB radio and just like try to talk to people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it got weird. And I also like remember like we would walk in a lot of places, and I remember my brother and I would drive around and we found like a hornet's nest, so we threw a rock at it and it went in the truck and the hornets all attacked the truck. Like we had fun stuff like that all the time. It was like really I just have random stories like that throughout the whole time.
And was your sister there too though, or no?
Yeah, and it's funny. I was trying to think. I thought of this story and then I lost it, and then you just brought it back. So yeah, my sister was there, and I don't know if she's listened yet, but I'm gonna tell a story about it really quickly. So my sister just got her license, and she ended up driving to a nearby town with my dad. On the way back, my sister hit a deer. And my dad was like so upset, and they were like, my dad, they're both upset. Obviously, my sister first time driving, and it was just like the cop was like, "Is everyone okay?" He's like, "Yeah," and he's just like, "Well, I guess you guys can drive off." He's like, "No, I'm taking that deer with me," and he's just like, that's kind of the hick living, yeah, I remember just. Going to that well a lot. Me and like my sister's like, "You're a bad driver." I'm like, "Well, I haven't hit any deer for the first time I ever drove, so I don't think you have any, right to say anything." It was something I went to the well a lot, but I felt, as I look back now, I couldn't imagine how awful that was.
Yeah, it's scary.
And my dad was just like, "This deer isn't gonna cover half of the repairs." Like I remember just being so upset, and it was the Dodge Ram, and just like stories like that, like. And one thing I will say about camping is I've never biked more in my life. Like I used to bike like your dad's gonna be like, "Oh, this is kids work," but like 50 kilometers a day. I would bike all over the island because there's nothing close. And like to get to town, I'd have to bike at least 5 kilometers, and then I'm just like, well, town's boring. I'm gonna go bike to the town nearby. And it's like another like, it was wild.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of biking, I do remember that I don't know how many of the trips, but there were some trips that my sister couldn't go on because she was actually like a bike sales rep, like in the summertime. So she would sometimes, if she could, depending on where she was, like, I don't know how far she traveled. Like, I don't know if it was all in Ontario or in Quebec or how far she like traveled to do that. But she eventually sometimes like made it back to, like, would be able to plan kind of like her route based on timing of when we would be like in Muskoka or whatever. But yeah, I would say for them, like, definitely like my middle sister and I were always there together and always loved fishing. I feel like though, like our family doesn't really like fishing anymore. I think it's mean.
Oh yeah, and we fish all the time and hunt and stuff like that. It's
it's different though
different
with your
family,
and it's different though with your dad in the sense of like I'll just speak to the fishing part because like you're actually like eating it.
Yes.
We would do catch and release, so like my family felt bad for that, like eventually, where it was like, I feel bad if this hook gets stuck or something, and then this fish is just like off to die. So
we do, and like we catch and release if it's small, and I don't think my dad, like, even if he gets a big fish, like I've seen him throw him back, just because all he cares about is just having food for the winter kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's always been pretty respectful about that kind of stuff, but yeah, I do have very fond memories of that, but that was the only thing I ever really did. I never really had any trips. I never went to like
with your family.
Yeah, I never even really went to Southern Ontario until like I was like 13. So like that was the only thing I did every summer where I worked.
I know. I'm trying to think of like when those like, because I'm the youngest, but I think I want to say maybe around like 18 or something is when those, just because like everyone was like working once again and like in school, like going to university, and like everyone had their own lives going on. So I feel like those family trips kind of like slowed down, and then people also began to like partner up. So then I think you would then travel with your partner to like places. But we still actually, funny enough though, I would say, my parents were able to like afford a couple cottages, obviously not all at the same time in the last like 10 years. So that was like amazing to be able to have like a place obviously for all of us to like gather together. So it kind of took like a little bit of a break, probably from when I was probably between like 20 and 30, and then it like kind of like kicked up again when I was 30 in terms of like having like a place to go for a cottage. But
I will say one thing that, like, I do have a pretty good memory, but I have like such like vivid memories of the people around there. Like I remember I had these neighbors, Dee and Dave, and there was a cop on the hill with something hard. I just remember these like really nice people, but I have this really beautiful memory of I don't know how to say without sounding like tootin', but we used to cut beans, like the ends of beans. My grandmother and I, and we would just take a knife and cut beans for hours on the deck, and I just loved it. It was we picked them and then we cut them, and then I don't know what happened. I assume we ate them or pickled them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very sweet.
I just like really it's weird when like again, like I remember a lot of stuff, but like that, like I can see it, and I smell things, and it reminds me of the island.
Totally.
So
yeah. And then what about, I mean, I don't know if we want to like skip right to like when you and I first started to date. I was gonna ask, I mean, obviously like
20 years later.
yeah. Fast forward 20 years later.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, obviously, like, we did a bunch of, like, I don't know what you're going to mention, but obviously we did a bunch of, like, kind of little trips, like, at the beginning to, like, Niagara Falls, I feel like was a really, like, kind of consistent one where we would go, like, once or twice, probably maybe twice a year, once a year, at least once a year.
Once a year,
So we would do that, but, like, I don't know if you want to talk about the first.
Which one? The one where we went to a different country?
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Yeah,
because
we could talk about
it was your like your idea. We're talking about the same thing.
Oh, really? Was it my idea? I don't remember who made that. Are we talking about the DR?
Oh no, I'm talking about Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee.
That was the first
yes, you're right.
trip.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was my idea.
that was all you, really.
Yeah. I don't know what happened one day. I was just like, I want to go to Milwaukee. I think it's because I wanted to see their new arena for the Raptors.
Yeah.
This is 2019. Well, 2018 actually, and then going into 2019. And yeah, we went down to Milwaukee. We drove, which I have no issue doing. Like, it's a long drive from where we're at. I think it was like 11 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
We had to go through this town that Allie hates. Don't want to say its name, but I just want to put it as a footnote because that's a fun town. Anyway, so I remember driving and just having a grand old time, even though. No shade at America, but man, your roads suck in some of your states. You can tell which states pay taxes and don't. Then we finally get to Milwaukee. Awesome place. They like beer and cheese. I'm all for that. We went to New Glarus, which was an awesome Swiss settlement town.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've mentioned that you're Swiss sometime.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, maybe not.
Yeah.
I actually don't think we have.
I think you've alluded to it, but yes.
Maybe. Yeah, my dad is from Switzerland.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you heard of Switzerland. It's not Sweden. Don't get it mixed up.
It's
you want to start
very
a fight.
Sensitive.
You want to start a fight, say that. Anyway, so we went to this little Swiss settlement. We had some Wursti, right? Wursti. I'm sure your dad's already correcting me. And yeah, it was a good time. But yeah, we're in Milwaukee. We got to see the Fonzie statue. He looked cool. But yeah, we watched the Raptors game there, and Raptors lost, and the people were extremely rude to me because I was wearing a Raptors jersey. But later that year, we broke their heart in the playoffs, and I just was like, oh man, wonder those kids are still yakking now.
That actually was quite the year.
Yeah, I think I said that we beat them. I think that was the first thing I said to you. I'm like, I wonder how those kids are doing.
Yeah.
It was really rude people. But no, besides that, man, I love that town. I would go back.
You want to go back like every year, I feel. But it's also, I certainly do not want to drive there. And obviously, there's like so many other places too in the States that we want to go to, but are certainly on hold right now, like considering kind of the
I just don't have I don't have enough gas to go. Sorry. But when I fill my tank up, we'll think about it.
Okay.
I will say though, there's a little bit of a thing you do. I don't know how to explain it. I would say it's a quirk. I guess that's the word. You don't want to go to the same place unless 5 years have elapsed.
I think that's very normal. And actually, it's closer to 10.
Okay. Comment if that's normal or not.
Yeah, that's very, unless there is something like...
What if we find a place that we, absolutely love? Then am I like, well, see you in 5 years, place I absolutely love.
Depends on where it is. If it's, in Europe somewhere, no, we're not going to go every year. But even, when I did do a father-daughter trip with my dad to Switzerland, that was, 10 years ago now. Actually, next month, in May, which is wild.
Oh, so we're ready to go back.
I know. So time's up.
Time's up.
Yeah. Well, you didn't come with me. So
I know. I'd love to go. And, your cousin did visit us this past summer. And he seemed to, it's funny because he was like, wow, really like Canada. I'm like, your place looks beautiful in comparison. But, maybe because it's just.
Canada is so big.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I think that's it. That's what my dad loved about it, is that there was just so much space, less rules. Switzerland can be very OCD.
Sometimes the rules are good because when I'm picking up trash a couple times a week, I'm like, hey, I hear they don't litter in Switzerland and Germany. I love that rule.
It was very clean when we went there, but yeah, I think that was our first actual couple trip was to Milwaukee, and that was probably I want to say maybe 7 months in or something to us meeting.
Yeah. I remember one fun part of that. Well, we went and saw a lot of fun, the Pabst Museum and stuff. But you said probably one of the funniest things I ever heard anyone say.
No. Oh, I know what it is.
we were watching a commercial, and I think we were like, somehow when we go on trips, we end up finding new reality TV shows. So we'll like spend an hour on watching TV. Like we're in Milwaukee, we should be outside. Well, a commercial comes on and shows like almonds almond milk, and it shows the almonds growing from a tree like in a cartoon, and she just goes, "Is that how almonds are born?" And I just lost it. I think I couldn't stand up. It was just such a like sweet, innocent question, but like so inquisitive. It was just, is that how almonds are born? And I started, a list of stuff that you say that was absolutely hilarious. That was the first thing I ever.
Yeah.
That was a game winner right there.
That was like one of your fondest memories from Milwaukee.
Yeah, it was.
But then I don't know, was DR, like Dominican Republic, the next? Because that was for our honeymoon. But our honeymoon, we got married in 2021 during COVID in September, and then the next year in 2022 was when we went to DR.
So we took a trip through Ottawa and then through the north. And so if you want to do that as a road trip where we stayed in North Bay for the night, which I would count it because we were in Almonte. Like, look, it's all these small towns, and like, to others it would be like whatever, but it was like just a fun like trip.
Mm-hmm.
I think Blues Fest was on, so that was before COVID, because we saw a couple of bands at Blues Fest.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Eric Church.
Yeah.
Ottawa Fest.
Yeah.
So Blues Fest. Yeah. And the only shame is that we could have spent probably another day or two like in that area and like maybe hit Quebec, because that's kind of on the horizon anyway. So, but we took a trip up, went north and then west, so like through Arnprior and all these towns you may or may not have ever heard.
I've never heard of them, and I went through them, so.
And we stayed a night in North Bay and saw some friends there. They were working on a show. So yeah, it was a really fun little trip. But it's a lot of driving, right? Like it honestly, it's like the Milwaukee drive in a way. Like pretty close.
Yeah. Well, and I was just thinking too, I think a lot of our trip plans or whatever, I don't know what the word is, changed because we also got Duke.
Yes.
So we got Duke in August of 2019.
Yep.
So yeah, that Ottawa trip was the July of that summer, and then we brought him home. Like his birthday's May 8th, but we brought him home like in late August.
Yeah.
So then our trips kind of just started to change a little bit, just because obviously we tried to bring him if we could, but then my parents, who were much closer than your parents, were also able to like babysit him when we did go away to like DR. But even before that, during COVID in 2021, when we got married, we did like a mini moon to Ben Miller, which is near like Grand Bend. So I feel I guess obviously in 2020 we did nothing.
Probably not.
Right?
Well,
like we did, we saw our parents here and there.
I go on vacation when paradise is in our house, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm around you, you are living the dream, right?
Well, I was also at that time working in healthcare, so I had zero energy to do anything.
I forgot.
What?
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I was just kind of reflecting on it now, where I was like, how can we even? It doesn't seem like we really traveled that much, but obviously a big part of an influence of that is Duke being the first thing, and then COVID obviously impacting that. But yeah, we still travel with Duke and we still rent our own cottages and go up north and bring them, and now Lily. We got Lily in July 2020. We brought her home in September 2022.
Yeah, it's not one of those things that obviously we do like traveling here and there, but like I don't really get the FOMO where I have to travel all the time. Now with COVID happening, I did, because it was like the last thing I wanted to do was live in my house. But it's one of those things that if we don't, we do try to do it, but it's not something that like I yearn for. And I think honestly it's because when I visit my family, it's such a drive for me. And
what do you mean it's such a drive? You say you love that drive.
In the sense, no, I say it's an easy drive. There's no love with that drive.
Mm-hmm.
The love of that drive is at the end of it. But I get kind of, I kind of get it's weird, right? It's not a vacation. In a way it is. Like, all my family are so warm when I see them. But like, I just kind of get the traveling side kind of out of me, the itch, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain, but it's not the same as say going to a different country, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that you yearn for traveling a little bit more than I do, but like I enjoy it. I just like it's not something I need to do every year. If I miss a year here and there, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
too worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say though that I don't know if we want to kind of go back to the DR trip at all, but
Might as
that was
well.
for like our real honeymoon after we got married a year later.
Yeah, you say real, we kind of had like a mini honeymoon during the COVID, but this was the one that we had kind of planned. Um, and essentially everything was going great. I went to the Dominican Republic, that's DR, I would
Was
say.
it Punta Cana?
Punta Cana, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the first time that either one of us had ever done an all-inclusive too,
Yeah, and like
which was great.
I've been to the States obviously, but it was like the first time we went to a proper different country, you know, like out of North America. Well, me because you went to Switzerland, but you know, where English isn't the first language, so you know, I used my like baby Spanish as much as I could and got through a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really good. And then
Until it wasn't.
Hurricane Fiona showed up. You guys heard of that hurricane? It's the F1. I don't know what hurricane we're at letter-wise now.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and it was, you know, I'd love to go into detail of it because like, it's one thing to be in a hurricane, but then we made the executive decision to try to get out of Dominican like right away, and none of the airplanes were going, and we didn't really have the foresight to think, well, you know, even if it's saying that airplanes are going, there's a hurricane coming, so they're probably going to be grounded. So we made this like this trip to the airport and was stranded there. And not only were we stranded there, the people that are supposed to help us like literally like made fun of us. Like, I can't believe you thought that you like, you know what? The last thing I need is to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I will add one thing to that though. I did have and suggest the idea to move up the flight by a day because we had obviously heard in the news it was coming, and we knew that we were like in its path, like, or it would hit, like, not in its path, but we were on the fringe of it.
Yeah.
So I did suggest that we should maybe leave early, but it was obviously more, I think it was like $1,000 or something. But yeah, we decided to,
rough it.
The next day, go to the airport to catch our flight. And yes, we were subsequently laughed at in this like open air airport.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was fun.
Well,
not at all.
I wouldn't say that it was fun. I was pretty miserable for like, I think I slept like, so we slept on the floor. I think I slept for 2 hours.
And we slept in an old like COVID screening room, which was like really creepy, like really eerie.
Which like, we weren't supposed to do that, but it was like covered, and like the door was like kind of broken off, so I just like opened the door and slept there. Cause like, I also felt protected there. Everywhere else you would have been like outside.
You're open, yeah. And like your
sleeping in water.
Yeah, your suitcases out and your phone's out or whatever. And then we adopted somebody under our wing too.
Yeah, a small child. No, it was a girl from Montreal. It was, like, kind of was like in the same boat as us, like trying to get out. And then it was fine. Like but we thought she might have had COVID because she was sick. It was like, I don't know. Yeah, it was fine. We got through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never go back to that country ever again. No offense to Dominican. It's more offensive to hurricanes. I'm not a big hurricane fan, so I want to go to places. It's funny. I went to NOLA.
True.
A couple years later, which is also kind of, well, yeah, of course it's hurricane. You know, some of the most famous ones.
Katrina.
But the thing about, oh man, I go to NOLA again tomorrow though. It's kind of funny. I'm like, I wouldn't go to a hurricane place, but NOLA I love that southern vibe.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's so chill and just sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
Louisiana is like one of my favorite states, I would say. Like, not even NOLA. Like, I would just like live on the farmlands or in the swamps.
And have we been anywhere else in the States? Why am I drawing a blank? I feel like we have, but like you and I.
We drove through a bunch.
No, I know, but
no.
So we've only been to Milwaukee and then NOLA?
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
we drove through like Indiana, Chicago, and Detroit. We were supposed to go to Detroit. Oh no, we did go to Detroit for a Tigers game.
Oh, yeah. On another, like, that was like in 2018, I think, as well.
Yeah, and it rained. And then 3 old ladies that were from where I was from made fun of me and just kept calling me by my town name. They were very sassy.
Yeah.
But we saw a Grand Slam that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see that too often.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think the most recent big trip that we did in September of 2024 was to France and Germany. So that was like the most recent one.
Yeah, Paris and Berlin, Ontario.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. It was your first, and it was your first time to Europe, so it was. And I will say, like, I mean, like I said, I've only been to Europe one other time, like I said, to Switzerland. But the flight there was just like, I couldn't believe it. We flew into Paris. Like, I also will only fly direct now. I will pay I know you're the opposite of that. I will pay the premium to have a direct flight. This flight to Paris from like the airport in Toronto was 6.5 hours. It was like, that's how long it takes, like, for you to drive to your family. Like, that is just crazy to me. So yeah, it was an awesome trip. We went to, my highlight was, we don't have to go into like obviously every single detail, but my highlight was definitely probably having champagne.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get much better than that.
It's funny because when I talk about it to people, like I kind of make fun of France and I really like Germany. When I sit back and we talk about the other trips and then we talk about Europe, I had such a great time in Europe.
Yeah.
I could, I probably could have spent more time there. Like, certainly we kind of ended in like the crappy town of Frankfurt. No offense, Frankfurters.
You've been saying that a lot this episode.
Yeah, no offense on those. It just wasn't, it's kind of like finishing your meal with like, dessert. Well, not
cardboard.
Dessert. Yeah, cardboard. That's a great one, yeah.
And then for me, Dresden was my favorite in Germany. It was just such like a quiet, cute, clean, very clean town, and I had like amazing like fresh pasta there that they I don't know what the word is, but they like boiled the cheese or whatever like right in front of me.
They like carved
used a cauldron kind of thing.
Yeah,
carved the cheese. It was incredible. So that was probably like my 2 big highlights.
And I'm happy because I was the one that suggested Dresden.
Yeah.
And it's just
the history.
And it's funny because we've been talking a lot about trips, but you handle a lot of where we go in this. Like, it can't be understated. It's just, you're a very good planner. Like, probably if you ever wanted to make a career out of it, you probably could do it pretty easily. It's hard to compliment this because it's like you're like one of the best Googlers ever too. Like, you just know how to find stuff. I need to mention it. It's not like a backhanded thing. You're just really good at this stuff. So the fact that I even hit the one thing on it, like being interested, I feel a little bit of pride because it's like 9 times out of 10 you're the one hitting all of them. Like, even like talking about champagne would have been something I would have ever thought of. And that whole trip was really like, I felt like I was in a postcard.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
that's Europe for you.
Yeah, but especially champagne, because like driving through Frankfurt, it's postcard I send to my ending maybe. Like.
No, totally.
But no, I had a great time in Europe, and I can't wait to go back. We have not solidified a plan, but there is. Watch out, Ireland. Here I come.
And Scotland. I think, Scotland and Ireland.
That's news to me. I thought we were going to Ireland.
Well, I'm not going to Ireland for like 10 days.
I was just trying to think of a country you wouldn't care for. Ireland and Scotland. I'm teasing.
Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to go to London at all. I don't know. I feel like there's not a lot of passion for you to go to, and I'm kind of like neutral about it.
We lived in London, Ontario for enough of our life. We've seen enough London. No offense.
I don't know if that's exactly it.
It's the same place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I would say that probably next year, the year after will be Scotland and then Ireland. And then this summer, hoping to have another trip to Ottawa to see some friends. And then also to your point earlier is to hit up Quebec because I've never been to Montreal and I've never been to Quebec City. So I think that's like pretty much in the calendar for the summer. And we wanted to go to um, the States in September because we travel every year for our wedding anniversary, but don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like to travel to like Texas.
Yeah. Again, we just don't have enough gas.
Well, I'm not driving, so.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that's the plan, and yeah, that's pretty much our agenda there. So if you guys want to come hang out, we'll see you there.
I feel like we kind of like whipped through what we're planning for this year, but yeah, obviously we'll probably like talk about it more as the year progresses, and once we actually hit up Montreal. But yeah, I think, do you have a random question or do we want to just cut to what you're thankful for this week?
We'll do the random question.
Okay.
This is interesting here.
Well, you think of whatever question you want.
Well, I had one. Then you've been giving me random questions,
no.
and they seem to work with the topic. So I'll do this one.
Okay, they're just thought starters.
But like these aren't really like, it'd be more random if this wasn't part of the topic. Don't you think? Either way, this is Eric's random question. Air quotes. What's one destination we both secretly agreed to avoid forever?
The Chicago airport.
Oh my God. I did not know I was going to take a stray there. Let us not go into detail about how I almost got into an altercation.
A fight at the airport.
In the Chicago airport.
As we were waiting for it was a flight in between. Okay. So yeah, I don't know.
You can't. They don't have hotel rooms there. You can't stay there. Like,
okay. Well, what is your like?
That there's
destination that we would never go back to, or you would never want to avoid forever.
To avoid forever.
Sarnia. No, you want to go there.
I love Sarnia. Sarnia is my new favorite place.
And opposing to me.
It's so funny. We actually mentioned it. I don't like North Bay.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
Oh man, I just feel bad like making fun of places. I'm gonna throw a couple that I don't want to go to. I never really want to go to Winnipeg.
Fair enough.
I don't think I'll ever want to go to like anywhere outside of Calgary, Alberta. Like if you're like, let's go to Red Deer or let's go to Regina, I'd be like, no.
What about Banff? Yeah.
Nah,
it's
not. I'm sure. Look, Canada is beautiful all over the place. You need to like twist my arm to go to mosquito country. That's what we call the Albertans in British Columbia.
So basically, you don't want to go to the prairies either. Anyway,
I will say no, Saskatchewan. So this is and like look at I see your face. It's like you would never go to Saskatchewan. I don't blame you, but man, if they ever get a team outside of like the CFL and they have the lacrosse team. We got to go there. That's going to be where the passion is. If the Saskatchewan ever gets a hockey team, we're going to want to see those games because it's going to be a riot. Mm-hmm. Those people love what they got.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
What about you then, there, Miss Judgy?
Well, I've already where would I never want to go to?
Yeah.
I think the prairies. I don't really. Have any desire to go there, and I'll probably never ever in my life, as much as I kind of want to go there, I'll probably never make it to Australia because like it is so darn far.
Yeah.
So I'll probably never make it there, and I'll probably never make it to Asia because it's also so far. And even if like we're retired, I don't know. I just don't see myself taking like a 23-hour flight. I think I would get way too stir crazy and like anxious, and I really don't think. It's in my future, and that's like, that's more of from a distance perspective. But yeah, I would love to go to Australia and like New Zealand and stuff. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I think how to kind of subsidize that, I guess, is that when we went to France, we then took a plane over to Berlin. So if we went to somewhere that was like kind of a middle spot, and then maybe went to Asia or went to Australia, if there ever was like something that we could pull over there, like. We had friends that went to San Francisco. Like, imagine if we spent like a day or a couple days in California and then went to Australia. That would be cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And I feel bad because Australia is just like Canada Junior.
Yeah.
And
Junior?
Yeah, they're junior. We're older. We're cooler. Like even if we aren't, well, I don't think we're actually are.
No, I don't think we are. But
well, we're cooler though.
And they have a lot of scary animals too.
Yeah, and certainly they got a better accent. But let's be honest. They can't beat us in hockey.
Yeah.
And we could probably beat them in cricket. So let's be honest. We're just being honest here, okay? So if any Australians have problems with that, what are you gonna do about it? I'm way too far away.
Yeah.
All right. So.
All right. Well, what should you thank me for this week?
Just
you know what? Straight to it. And I'm still. You talk a while because I'm still trying to think of something. God. I'm so bad.
You know, like anyway.
No, unless you can think of something.
Yeah. You should thank me for this. Anyways, no, you got me some cologne, which is very nice because as a male, I smell, and if I don't have the proper perfumes, aka or colognes, I smell. So you got me some. It was really nice. It just kind of came out of nowhere too because it's one of those things I just never noticed. And then I'm like, and then you're like, you know, hey, we're going out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have anything nice to put on anymore. So,
like clothes wise, or
well,
you're talking about
cologne,
yeah. Specific instance?
Yeah. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, it's because I saw it's such like an old school thing too. I feel like it's from Bath and Body Works, but it smells so good, and it was like I think like an older scent that they had, and I think I read or heard that they had just recently like brought it back. So, yeah, you're welcome. I would say I feel like I've thanked you for this like before, and actually kind of last week in a way. Just like groceries, you got me more beer. You got me more berries. I don't know. You do everything around here.
Well,
like,
then it should be easy. Like
you cleaned out the garbages.
You should do a future thing of taking care of the dogs when you go hang out with your friends in Toronto.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, I didn't know I could do a future thank you because my mind went to that. You always let me use your car when I drive to Toronto because my car is like 21 years old. So I'm always appreciative when you give up your vehicle and let me, zoom to Toronto with it because, nice to have a younger vehicle.
My pleasure, I'm glad, I got the heat in there, got the AC, and you can just have a good old time.
Yeah, it's a really good, like, what's the word? Like venting system. Hondas are notoriously bad for like having like getting really foggy, and it takes like 12 years for the like condensation to go away. But anyways,
a lot of learning in this podcast.
I know, right? Well, that's all right.
And by the way, you can do it's your podcast, it's my podcast. We can do whatever we want.
I know.
If someone telling you can't do future thank yous, because if they are, I want to. You
want a name?
Yeah, I want a name.
No, this was just in my head like 2 minutes ago. I was like, well, I can't thank for that because that hasn't happened yet.
But don't be like, hey, like I'm thanking you for the present you're gonna give me for Christmas.
That's fair. There's a limit.
There's the line. Anyways.
All right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, and see you next time on You Should Thank Me podcast.
Have a good week. We'll see you next week, and keep it real.